Miss versus Kentucky at home, it's 30-20. It's not like it was, that's kind of what gets me going. I'm like, God, it's like it's right there. Let's change some things where we need to and reinvest in this program and get coaches that are bought in and recruit our ever living ass off every single day and do that. And you give yourself a chance. You don't guarantee anything, but you give yourself a really good chance.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Do that, and you give yourself a chance. You don't guarantee.
I'm Alan Cutler, honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it's live now anywhere in the country or whatever, or tonight on a podcast, probably not with Oklahoma at 9. I've had a couple people that come up to me and say, hey, Alan, I listen to you usually podcast at night, but when Kentucky plays at night, I don't listen to you. I went, okay, thank you for listening to the podcast when you do. I appreciate everybody. And I'm still cold. Hopefully you're warming up, and hopefully we'll have some ice melting. That comment by Steins, he talked with Andy Staples. I'm really big because it's what I've done, not just for my living, but really my whole life. The influence of my mother, who had an unbelievable voice, and everybody told me she was better than my aunt, who was a quasi-opera star. And I got into tones of voices as a child and the power of your tones of voices. And I'll bet a cup of coffee that Jimmy agrees with me 1,000%. And he agrees with me a lot, but there have been moments where he strongly disagrees. And so, in other words, it's no filter. Jimmy, is there anybody in the world you'd less kiss their blank than me? Is there anybody in the world?
Not that comes off the top of my head.
Shouldn't have asked that. As it was coming out of my mouth, I'm going, you shouldn't have done that. You might not like the answer. I just no filtered myself, didn't I? When Stein talks, Jimmy, you feel his excitement and his charisma, don't you? Can you feel it? I feel it. Do you feel it?
Yes, and it seems real because there's times where you can feel excitement, but you could tell it's like manufactured, like they're trying to amp themselves up. He just seems like that's how he is when he talks ball. That's just who he is.
Okay, let's take what you said that we agree 100%. Let's amplify it slightly. I really believe that tone of voice helps him when he recruits. I really do. Now, think about it. It doesn't matter if you're a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, now, maybe not 24, but it's a selling job, and enthusiasm with selling gets amplified. Jimmy, I think his words and his tone of voice helps him in recruiting. I really do. And is it me, or are we talking more football this winter so far than last year? I'm not going to go back and look at the shows, and I'm just not going to do it. But doesn't it feel like, Jimmy, we're talking more football this winter?
It does, and I think mostly because it's new, because you have the whole new coaching staff. If Stoops was still here and it was the same recruits being brought in, I don't think it would be nearly top of mind as much. But I do think it's a good thing that you're talking Kentucky football this time of year, because typically I feel like you're not, because Kentucky's not getting anyone huge in the transfer portal. So there wasn't any big splash like that to talk about the last couple of years. So this is different, but I like it.
Yeah, I do too. And here's what's interesting. If next year, let's say Kentucky has gone to a pretty decent bowl. I'm not talking about making the playoffs, but let's say they go to a pretty decent bowl game and they have exceeded most people's expectations. I don't know this. But you're 100% right. It's new. He's exciting. We are buying into the hype. Let's see what he does. At least I'm buying into the hype. But I still say, let's see what he does. And it'll be interesting to see if we have the same enthusiasm next year. You know what, Jimmy? I think it probably will be. I think it will be. But by the same token, let's say they win 4 games. Okay? Do I think we'll talk less football? Yeah, I do. Okay, let's set up the show, and I want to do a bunch of Chandler because he's as good as anyone on the team when it comes to what he says. He doesn't have Stein's enthusiasm because he's a low-key kid, but he really tells you something. And it's he's open, I think, closer tremendously when you're talking about. So that is a beautiful thing. So let's go to Colin Chandler. And here's a quick comment about what they wanted to do against Arkansas.
For sure. I mean, our theme has been the toughest team wins, and we weren't the toughest team earlier in the week. And so that was something we focused on preparing for the Arkansas game.
So, fight. You heard the word fight. And it's kind of funny almost. It's kind of ironic that after the wimpy performance against Vandy, that you're hearing the word fight. It is possible. I'm not ready to say this. Look, they're going to have a clunker. Everybody's going to have a clunker, okay? It's just going to happen. It is possible that they have learned so much that they have finally bought in. And I think it's really possible. We shall see. We should. Now, this is powerful. So think about what's happened. They've come back in so many of these games. And what's often overlooked, and I've talked about this a lot, is that at times a team grows not a little, but tremendously during the season. And when you have one opinion in December, it can change. Come on. In 98 in December, if you would have told me that Kentucky was going to win a national championship, I know what I thought back then. No way. But I was open-minded to the fact that they would change. Did I think they would change that much? Oh, no. So I've always attempted to be open-minded about change unless I think, there's no hope or it just can't get to that level. But when you listen to this is one of the most powerful comments of the year. It tells me, especially since Chandler is really kind of no filter in his own way. He's not no filter like me, but just because you're calm and you're not boisterous and loud, you want to throw in obnoxious? Jimmy, should we throw in obnoxious? Do you like me calling myself obnoxious? Is that fair? Why are you smiling?
I feel like obnoxious could fit at times. Not all the time.
You know what? That's one of the nicest things you said to me, that you said at times, not all the time. You've gotten really good. You know what? When I toss you a hanging curveball, your batting average is so much better than the Reds, it's not even funny. It's much, much, much higher. This is really important by Chandler. He talks about how they've learned. He talks about how they've grown together. He talks about a word that it's not BS. He talks about a word that he believes that's now ingrained in the team, and it's confidence. And here's why. Clip number 2.
Well, I feel like there's a great confidence that we can win games, like we've been doing. We've been finding ways to win games, and so I think there's a great confidence in that as a team in going into a game and closing a game as well. I think we've found more confidence as a team in doing that.
Was it lacking earlier, do you think?
I think confidence comes with experience and comes with doing things, and I don't think we didn't prove that we could find a lead and keep a lead and win a game early in the season. So, I mean, by definition, yeah, we wouldn't have confidence because we hadn't done it yet as a team.
That's really good, Jimmy. That's really, really good. So early on, they didn't have the confidence they could do it. And by the way, that's not negative. It's really not. It's part of the metamorphosis, the growth, and the change of a team. So they went from not knowing if they could do it to maybe not being tremendously successful or early on, and they've grown. So you know what? For a second, how about giving Pope some credit, okay? How about giving these kids some credit, okay? Now, if you want to say, well, Cutler wasn't a couple of weeks ago when you were down on him. No, I'm not in or out on anything. Okay, I'm not on a bandwagon. I'm not off a bandwagon. It's simple. If you play good, I say you play good. If you stink, I say you stink. I don't hold back. By the same token, too, if you listen to my show and have followed me since the early 80s, I look for trends and reason why I say it. And I believe Chandler. I believe Chandler believes everything he just said. And you have to take it seriously. Now, does that mean because of this, because they know how to win games and they have confidence winning games late means going to national championship? Doesn't mean squat. No. You can have all the confidence to win games late, but the other team is better. Duh. Okay, so there's no hidden message here. Fact that you have to have this to get to the next step. That's all. Here's the other thing that's really good. Clip number 3, talking about changing practice.
We've been experimenting with new methods in practice, and I think it's been great for us. We've been doing some live scrimmages early in practice to get the feel and figure out how to start early, and it hasn't always been great as a team. I won't say we've come out and just fixed that automatically. It's a learning thing. That's what practice is for, and so we're learning and getting better at doing that. And so I think we're going to keep working on it, and I think it's been great for us to get that simulation on a daily basis, not just twice a week.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Changing practice. Whatever it is working. Okay, to the retro jerseys that will come back against Tennessee. He has seen it. Clip number 4. Here's his thoughts.
I think they'll be sweet. I think it'll be sweet for the fan base to kind of bring those back and bring back some memories for the longtime fans of BBN. I think it'll be cool.
Have you seen them yet?
Yes. Pretty sweet.
What do you think?
Coach Pope,
Yeah, they're awesome.
This now, to me, is the most interesting soundbite, if you want to say Chandler on Chandler. Okay? I've been going crazy more than anybody else, and I check around talking about how he is the most clutch player on the team in the last 5 minutes. Didn't say the best player. Didn't say he's the best player in the last 15 years. Not suggesting he's one of the best players in 15 years. I am suggesting as a player, he's going to get much better, much better. But if you think of all the various ways that he's helped them win in the last 5 minutes, passing, steal, shots. A couple games ago, that shot, he hit that 3 when he was 1 for 9 and fearless. I just can't forget that. 1 for 9, didn't hesitate. The shot's there. Boom, I'm taking it. Not everybody can do that. First of all, not everybody can make that shot. Some might get lucky, but not everybody can make that shot. But by the same token, when you look at it, his growth is incredible. And so this is how it happened. And this is a beautiful thing. And he will use this word. You're going to hear it really quickly, and it's perfect. He says it's natural. It comes naturally.
I think these moments have come naturally. I guess they just happened. And so I think I'm ready whenever the ball is, it's nothing forced. I think is the biggest thing is it's all come within what we do. It's
what we do. It's what we do. Now, this is really cool. Early on, boom, he was hitting, went into a slump. And now he's out of the slump. So there's an obvious question. Hey, Chandler, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel good, and I feel like I'm getting shots in our offense pretty naturally, not really forced shots. And so whenever I can do that, I feel great.
Feel great. Really good. And by the way, when it comes to the scrimmage and stuff like that, he did get specific, but he still thinks there are some things that can be tweaked in practice. He should tell Pope. Maybe he has. Okay? This was really cool. When this happened the other day, I kind of went, what? I'm not saying he's the last guy in the history of Kentucky basketball that you would think to do this kind of things. I was just surprised. Trent Noah went shh to the crowd at Arkansas. And when he did it, I'm looking at the TV and going, what the blank did he just do? Okay, so now we're going to hear from Trent on this, but I really like Chandler's description of what happened.
He must have been feeling a certain type of way about the Arkansas game because we were sitting in the hotel the night before the game, and we were just sitting there. He's like, it'd be pretty cool to shush a crowd like tomorrow's crowd. We're like, yeah, Trent, it would be pretty cool. Like, that'd be awesome. And I actually didn't know until after the game that he did that. I saw the pictures, and so we had a good laugh after and called his shot a little bit.
So you're not going to be surprised that Noah missed that part of his explanation. Jimmy, we're going to go right to Noah. And let's go to clip number 9. It's funny how he didn't mention this part with Chandler, which makes it even better. Clip number 9, Noah on shushing the crowd.
No, it was spontaneous. I don't know what came out of me for that one.
Have you ever done that before?
No, I don't think so. No, I normally kind of keep it even kill for kind of. That's kind of how I go about it, but I don't know. It's kind of just natural.
I know there were some students, Arkansas students, back in that area where you did it. Were they like talking before that that led to that? What led to it? I guess.
Yeah, I was just standing in the corner, and it was just chirping the whole time, and I guess I finally I hit a shot, and I don't know what came out of me.
Did you hear it even more? Like, were they loud? Like, did you hear more chatter as the game went on after you did that, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's the fun part. Going into a hostile environment, you kind of dream of that whenever you're little. Going on the road, being villains, and getting a big win. So it was fun.
Oh, what a great line. Being villains, right? And getting the win. But Jimmy, that was spontaneous. Does that and by the way, I'm smiling. If you think there's something negative where I'm coming from, you got damn rocks in your head. I think it's really funny that Chandler kind of threw him under the bus in a teasing way. And I think that's how these guys are with each other. I think there's a certain bond in teammates and guys. It could be gals too on a gals team, that kind of thing. But they're busting each other's chops. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Chandler goes, yeah, the night before we were surprised he said that. Jimmy, I thought that was great.
Yeah, first, if they don't, they need to get the screenshot of him doing that and put it in every library on UK's campus to be quiet in the library. You got to have the Trent Noah shush sign. That should be everywhere if it's not already. And I think probably what Noah meant, maybe he was thinking about doing it during the game, but in that moment he probably blacked out and didn't even realize that he was doing it. It was in his head though. He knew he wanted to at some point.
Okay, 2 things. 1, oh my gosh, you're a genius. You are a genius. Seriously. That's a great idea. Make a poster of Noah.
Yeah.
The game when he's and put it in the library.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm going to pass that on, and I am not taking credit. Okay, I'm not taking credit. I'm giving you credit, and it would be an easy thing to do. And if UK doesn't do it, I'm not going to say that. If they don't see the value, can you imagine walking in the library and you see a picture of Noah? I mean, what kid wouldn't smile?
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Imagine this 20 years from now, maybe not everybody remember Noah. And when you say that, well, sure they will. I'm sorry. I'm sure not everybody remembers the 1996 team. Yeah, many do, obviously, because they won. Do you remember the 95 team? Not as much because they didn't win. They lost a game to North Carolina. It was 1 versus 2, the top 2 teams winningest of all time. It was one of the most intense games really I ever covered. We'll talk about it probably on Friday, maybe today, but probably on Friday. And so people forget. People don't remember everyone. Also, it depends upon your age. Okay, we got one more, though. One more in the Okay, let's go to clip number 12. And here's what happens. And so when you have, and UK's literally, they've been wonderful under Pope of allowing the players to talk longer. After games, it's much, much shorter. When you lose, it's much shorter than that. It just was, it is. I think Pope has done a press conference that's like 5 or 6 minutes. It's really short. They want to get the heck out of there. They're upset, all that kind of stuff. But when it's the game before and the players have a positive thing, credit to Deb Moore, credit to Mark Pope, because Pope's the one who allows it. They let these players talk a lot, and I applaud them for it, and I need to applaud them for it because, okay, you're saying, Cutler, you're selfish, it's helping your show. Sure it is, but guess what I'm doing? I'm the conduit. That's all I am. A media person is a conduit to fans. Now, I know the people at UK don't get that. They really don't. They don't get it. They don't understand it. I don't expect them to understand it. And I had a debate about this that goes back to the 1980s with them. Neither here nor there. I don't want to get off the tangent. So Noah shushes the crowd. Chandler said that he talked about it the night before the game. Noah didn't. He sort of left that out in the first comment he made about it. And so what happens when you have all this time with a player and you got two players at once, the media goes from one player to the other. So you might start with Chandler and then you go to Noah or vice versa. So oftentimes, and a credit to these kids, they get asked the same question multiple times. And it's not because it's the same reporter asking the same question. At least I haven't heard that happen. Maybe it has. It's another reporter coming over and they haven't asked the obvious question. And these kids do a great job, and I mean a great job of keeping their cool. They really do. And Deb Moore, if it's you that have helped them with this, or whoever the hell has done this, they don't go, oh, I just answered that last question. They could do it, but they don't. It's a really positive thing about these kids, the kind of thing I don't think the public realizes. I'm not talking down to you, but you don't realize it. Okay, you got these kids for 20 minutes and you've got a TV camera or whatever. You're not going to spend 20 minutes with one person. You're going to kind of split it up. And after a certain time, you feel you have enough, or you say, okay, this person gives me better answers or gives better answers than the other person. So you might just do it on a feel thing. It's not an equal thing, but you're going to spend time with both. I think everybody got that. So what happened is now this is like the end of Noah and some new people come in. So he's asked again about the crowd at Arkansas.
No, I don't think so. I think that's the first time. To be honest, I'm not sure. It was kind of just spontaneous. I don't know where. I kind of realized after I did it, I was like, what? But I don't know. Yeah, first time for everything, I guess. It was good. I mean, kind of when you're playing, you're so caught up in trying to do everything. I probably shouldn't have been shushing the crowd. I probably should have been getting back on defense, but hopefully that one didn't lead to a bucket.
They kind of got onto you a little after that, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it fun, though. Everybody in the arena yelling at you, and you're trying to be the villain on the road, trying to get a win. You can't make it any better than that.
Did anybody, coaches, family members, anything, say anything to you about that specifically? Like, where did it, not necessarily like, why did you do it, but where did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, not really. My mom, I feel like my mom and dad had cut them a little off surprise because I kind of just keep it even kill. I don't really do much. I'm just kind of playing, but I don't know. First time for everything, I guess.
Is that a great answer about, hey, it's just part of the game? That's such a clean, it's a beautiful answer. But yeah, spontaneous, huh? No. Let's go back to Chandler. I want to get maybe one or two things in before Travis Ford joins us at 12:30. This will be clip number 8 when he talks about how it's special in beating the Hogs.
I think it was personal because we got embarrassed earlier in the week. I think it was personal for all of us to prove that that's not who we are. It's not the team we are. As well as obviously it didn't feel great to have them come in and beat us last year at home, and so I think there was multiple factors of why it might have been personal for our team.
And I can see that. You know, they were embarrassed last year. That was a must-win for Arkansas because their season was falling apart. They was falling apart. And so they remembered last year. It's all competition. I not only have no problem with that, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're going to flip back to Noah. And he has the pleasure of guarding O and O guarding him in practice. And I have always believed that oftentimes, you know, there's a game speed where you get comfortable playing the game, and you got to get comfortable playing the game. There's no question about it. And you can be really good in practice, but if you're not comfortable playing the game and you can't hit the shots in the game you hit in practice, you're still not there yet. By the same token, too, it's not talking out of both sides of my mouth. You improve in practice, and practice can get you to the point where you can improve in games. It's two different ways and two different things totally. Okay. And so, you know, all this talk about Owe, who's just been wonderful. I mean, think about it, since he's probably finally gotten healthy in the SEC and all that kind of stuff. And so he talks about going against O and O going against him in practice clip number 10.
I've had the pleasure to be able to compete with him since I got on campus. I mean, last year, it was, whenever it was in the summer last year, it was just a massacre. Like, he was just taking me to the rim over and over. I didn't know what to do. But he's a good player. I mean, I really get better from him. I mean, I get to guard one of the best players, SEC best players in the country every single day in practice. I mean, I feel like that's a gift.
That's a gift. What a perfect attitude about getting better. I don't care what the hell you're doing in life, but okay, it's tough. That's a gift. I can work on my craft. I want to tell you, these two kids are about as good as it gets. If you can't root for these two kids, not just because they have the Kentucky across their chest, if you can't root for these two kids, you need help. I don't know how else to put it. They're great kids. I tell you what, kudos to their parents. Kudos to their parents. Travis Ford is in the hopper. He's coming up next. And don't forget about Quantrell. They're great Subarus, the great Cadillacs, the great Volvos. They just finished a deal where they had the 2025 Subaru Outback. It ended on February 2nd with 0% financing. But the durability that the Quantrell Subaru is known for, check them out. Check them out. It's a beautiful thing. Quantrell Subaru. Visit QuantrellSubaru.com. Obviously, see dealer for details. And we've had two Cadillacs from them. Two great cars. Great cars. The first one we had for over a decade. Well over a decade. It's a beautiful thing. And now we have the Volvo XC60, and it's a hybrid, and we're saving money. And, we've only been married 43 years, and it's best car we've ever had, really. And we're saving a bunch of money on the plug-in hybrid. They're wonderful people. They hire people who are good people. They treat you good. They were treating me good a long time ago, way before representing them and talking about them on my show. Please visit them. Please use my name. We'd appreciate it tremendously. Travis Ford coming up next. Always excited talking to Travis, and what a show we have lined up. What a show, what a show. Doug Barnes, also today, former UK assistant. Gene Abel, former sports editor, long time of the Lexington Herald leader. Steve Tressler, who's got game day tonight, and his new venture. A lot going on. Oklahoma tonight. Travis Ford next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank, time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler for my friends at Quantrell Cadillac. There's something unmistakable the moment you step into a Cadillac. The soft glow of the dashboard, the quiet power waiting beneath your foot. Every detail is designed to move you before you ever move. On the road, it's smooth, responsive, effortless. Advanced technology surrounds you. Performance responds instantly, and the world outside fades away. This isn't just driving, it's arrival. At Quantrell on select models, luxury has never felt more attainable. Visit QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for complete terms.
Ooh, baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pub and Shop.
Kappa what?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have assorted Hershey, Reese, Kit Kat, and Payday standard sized candy bars, 2 for $3, and Nature Valley granola bars, 2 for $2.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pub and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
When we put this team together, and granted, our roster is so different than it was 5 months ago, but When we were working out in the summer, the thing that stuck out to me was our team's competitive spirit. Like, we just had this beautiful competitive spirit. It was awesome. And then for maybe 100 different reasons, it just felt like we were having a tough time getting it out in games. And then you think about these guys' last 7 games, and you think about their competitive spirit. Like, it's epic. I don't know if I've been on a 7-game stretch where guys have shown more self-destructiveness and incredible resilience in a stretch, and it's awesome. It's really fun. So I think it says a lot about our guys' character and their refusal to kind of stop. And
so when you put a team together, welcome back, everyone. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. You have a thought, and then maybe the thought stays the same. Travis answered this probably 99% of the time. It changes tremendously. And as I'm throwing this to Travis, and I want to introduce you properly, Travis, what it tells me is, okay, we're pretty cool with our foundation here. What the blank happened? Now we got to get it back, and that's what coaching is: adjusting, changing, and growing. One more really quick, Travis. Chandler had a great comment earlier that we played, that early on, they didn't know how to win games late. Now they've learned, and they have confidence. Gosh, as a coach, that's got to put a smile on Pope's face and your face. Like he says, we didn't know how to do it. Now we do. Growth. One of the great UK players of all time. 2-time All-SEC, both with the books. That's the part that embarrasses me. I couldn't even carry the books. Both with the books and on the court, and the only UK player ever to be all #1 MVP in the SEC tournament, not once, but 2 years in a row. Travis Ford and Travis, isn't it true? We're both inside wearing hooded sweatshirts. It's cold everywhere.
It's cold everywhere. That's for sure.
How are you? So what do you think? I thought that was a great analysis of Pope. Hey, I had this thought, and then it went away. Then what do we do? And it looks like we fixed it. Yes?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great quote, and I think he's exactly right. I think, when you're building a team, and as we know in today's, and we've said it a million times, in today's environment of the portal, you're building a team almost every single year. When you're putting a team together and you're recruiting a player, there are the things you see and there are the things you don't see. The things you see are what you see when you go watch them in person, or you watch them on tape. You see, their talent level, you see different things like that. You see things on paper, you see their stats. Those are the things what you see on paper and what you see on video or what you see in person. What you don't see is how is player A gonna go with player B. Those are the things you don't know. The unknowns are when you put that team together, the injuries, things like that. And I think Kentucky has seen all of that this season. Is different teams are going to come together at different times, especially when you're putting so many players together on a basketball team year in and year out. It's sometimes the unknown, what you don't know going in. You don't know how quick they're going to gel together. You don't know what injuries are going to do to your team. And we're seeing that right now. We're seeing that Kentucky has been through all of that, and now they're kind of on the other side of kind of knowing who their team is based on injuries, who's in and out, who their team is based on rotations and who plays well together, their roles and all that. And I think we're seeing them play some of their best basketball of the season. The game at Arkansas, I thought, was maybe the best in terms of the way they approached just watching them from the tip of the game. You could tell it was a different mentality of Olway and different guys, of how they were attacking and different things. And you could say, well, that was because that's Arkansas. I think that's maybe a little bit to do with it, but also just the process of time. They are starting to understand each other a little bit, and what Coach Pope wants.
It's an amazing change. I think you got to give not just Pope, but the kids. I say kids. I'm much older than you, Travis. On the team, a ton of credit. This is the most obvious question I could ask you. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think you'd see a basketball game, or maybe coach a basketball game, or watch a basketball game that you weren't physically a part of? There were 3 technicals in 38 seconds. I mean, Well, I would say Pope would have to pull out his hair, but let's leave that alone. But I mean, have you ever even dreamed of something that nuts?
No, and I've been around the game a very long time, as you have, and I've never seen quite. I've seen you've obviously seen when teams get technicals, two or three, maybe because of a scuffle or whatever, but to get three independent technicals on three different type plays in that amount of time, uh, and one being obviously absolutely positively the one on Mo should have never ever been called. And you can debate even the other ones, but I've never seen that on three independent different type plays. I've never seen that happen.
Uh, I'm guessing you've done the same thing many times. I have been told and watched one or two basketball games that when you're really going to go at a ref, you say your piece, you don't get in their face, and you turn and walk away so it doesn't sound personal. I couldn't obviously see everything Pope said. Maybe he said a four-letter word. He does do that. He is human. I'm going to guess it wasn't outrageous. I bet it was really strong. So he said his piece, turned and walked away, and he still got a technical. And I'm going, why the hell are you giving him a technical? He turned and walked away. Isn't that a code? Like, say your piece, do it. You got to be strong, but don't then get in the ref's face and then, show a little grace by what. I thought Pope did the right thing. Am I wrong?
You're exactly right, and I should have even prefaced that earlier. As bad as the Mo technical was, I agree. The tech on Pope might have been, I don't know, just as bad. It necessarily should have never ever been called because as a coach, after your team's just received two technicals in a matter of maybe 20 seconds, you should be given a little bit of grace to be able to argue a lot at a high level about those technicals, especially the one on Mo. And he didn't seem like he was given much grace on that. But as a coach, sometimes I don't think. I don't know. I don't know if Mark was trying to get it or not. Sometimes you are trying to get a technical. Sometimes you're not. I probably not at that time, but it made it fueled his team even that much more. Who knows? But I thought that technical and the Mo was both probably very much uncalled for, and very surprised very surprised at the Mo thing because you can see what happened. It was very uncalled for, and then Mark Pope's technical based on he should have been given a lot of grace based on what had just happened 20 seconds prior to that.
So in life, and I'm going to go to football, I'm going to purposely get away from this game.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'll go back to basketball. You just intimidated me.
I can give my opinions on football, but I know nothing about it. So I'm a typical fan.
Refereeing. We'll go back to basketball. Can't believe I just said you just intimidated me. You made me change. Okay, so I have this personal thing. This is me. Like, a foul is a foul. You got a 40-minute game. If it's a foul in the first 30 seconds, call the damn thing in the final. Call it the same way. I can't stand it when the refs decide to call things differently at the end of games. Point being, in Mo's case, what he did, kids do all the time. He didn't get, if he got in somebody's face, he should have gotten a technical. I don't care if it's Kentucky or Arkansas. Any kid who does that, you got to get a technical. He was just screaming. It was the emotion of a big play. That's what people want, real emotion. There was no BS about that. It was real, and you gave the kid a technical. What ticked me off is that you have an official, I would never say Doug Show's name, of course. You have an official, I've said his name a lot recently. You have an official who says, I'm changing the damn rules. Is he? Is that too strong?
Well, no, I think, I think you're right on a lot of levels, but also, if he's going to call that one, and it was all on emotion because Mo was not looking at any player, he was not doing any of that, then you've got to call it on the other side too, because Arkansas had a couple, big dunks that their players were really being emotional and celebrating, which I think they should be allowed to, but I think Mo should have been allowed to express his emotions in a positive manner. It wasn't even a negative manner whatsoever. I think you've got to call that on both sides. No different than if you're going to call one foul on one end, then you got to call that same type foul on the other end. I thought even after and before the Mo technical for the emotion, there were several opportunities. If they're going to call that, which I don't think they should, if you're going to call that, then you absolutely have to call it on both sides. And I think there's many examples you can pull up videotape that, all right, if you're going to call this a technical, then you have to call that a technical. And that wasn't the case.
Jim Andrews did the show yesterday, and Jim's great. You know Jim.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And one of the great human beings. Forget
Terrific. Absolutely.
Last UK player, and he doesn't get enough credit for this, for 2 years in a row, averaging over 20 points and 10 rebounds.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's hard to do. That's not easy.
I'm sorry for stepping on it, Trav. And I'm not taking credit, but the year he got in, I went crazy for a couple months saying, "Why are you not in the UK Athletics Hall of Fame?" Because look, I'm not taking credit, but I know I caused a little attention. That's all I can say I did. He should have been. He should have. Matter of fact, I actually thought he was in a long time ago. I assumed because he was that great of a player, but he had a wonderful comment. And unless my memory is bad, Clockerty was a famous referee. He refereed your games, right?
Oh yeah, John. Many games. Absolutely.
And I liked him. We would have these short conversations, stuff like that. But he had a comment about Clockett. He says, "You know, he's a bad ref, but he was equally bad for everybody." In other words, you knew it was personal, and I loved it. And you're laughing, right?
Yeah, it's that. And I thought he was a good ref. He was okay. His son is reffing now and different things like that. And I think they're both good referees. But yeah, if a referee's bad for everybody, that's good for the teams, but bad for the sport, bad for the game. But I would not say. Because John, as a player, he did many of my games, and he did some when I was a coach as well.
And by the way, I don't think he was saying horrendous. I think he was a little bit with a smile.
Wow, right.
Down and not. I mean, he did all kinds of. I thought he was a very good ref, but I saw him make mistakes on both sides.
Oh, sure.
I never thought it was personal. I think that is what Andrew said, but I think it was more kind of like, okay, it's not personal. I made a mistake. Okay, well, let's move on. Let's whatever. And I thought coaches gave him a lot of grace because I was told he often went to a coach and said words you don't hear today. I made a mistake.
As a coach, I used to love that. When a referee would come over and admit, hey, I might have got that one wrong, it really made a difference for me. It really, really bothered me when I knew a referee made a wrong call and they kept standing behind it. That bothered me as much as anything. And I had to remind myself of this probably more than anybody, is that referees are human and they definitely make mistakes. It's a hard, sometimes the tighter the game is, the later it gets. You mentioned earlier about referees calling it the same way the beginning of the game, the same way at the end of the game. That's hard to do. It's hard. It's very, very difficult to do, as they should. A foul is a foul. You're exactly right. I've always said that, it's not an interpretation. A foul is a foul, but it should be called the same way the whole game. But that's difficult to do, very difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier that pass interference is pass interference. I don't care 2 minutes or at the very end of the game. Call it the same way so that the players know what to anticipate instead of having to guess, are they going to call it differently? It's interesting, Travis Ford, as much as we've talked about the 3 technicals in 38 seconds, in my humble opinion, I use the word humble with me. I don't get to do that very often. In my humble opinion, we haven't talked about the worst call. The worst call to me is Chandler. I'm not calling DJ Wagner a thug. He's a good kid, but people do things on the court, whatever. So I don't want anybody to take this. I'm going after DJ.
Right. No,
it ain't me. It's not me. But he pushed down Chandler with 2 hands, and you could get hurt that way. Forgetting about that, with 2 hands, that should have been an instant technical foul. And I'm sitting here at home, and I'm almost screaming at the TV. And by the way, if Chandler did it to Wagner, he should have got a technical foul. I mean, in other words, fair is fair.
No question. I don't think anyone caught that during the whole game. No one caught it. It was only being talked about on social media when people started replaying it and things like that. I was watching the game with my 2 sons, and I had noticed it when it happened, and I didn't say anything because I thought, well, maybe I saw that wrong. I saw it on a replay, like when they were replaying it immediately on television. And I didn't say anything about it, but I saw it and I thought, did I just see a deliberate shove in the chest, a non-basketball play, and I kind of let it go. And then maybe 10 minutes later, one of my sons saw it on video on his phone and showed it to me. I said, I thought I saw that. That is exactly right. That was missed by everyone on television. I don't think no one ever even mentioned it on the broadcast, or obviously the referees didn't see it. But I don't think after you saw a replay, there's no question it was.
I'm not so sure at times that announcers who do those games, and I'm not ripping them, by the way, are still cautious because they want to keep their job.
Yeah, I think there's some out there that do call out referees and stuff, and they're not afraid to. Some of them don't. I think that's kind of preference. But if you weren't paying attention on that foul, going back to that shove a little bit in the chest, if you weren't paying attention, you probably didn't see it. You had to really be watching it to really understand that it, probably wasn't a basketball play.
Yeah, and there's also ways, as you know, since you now do it, besides only being around basketball for about 68 years. Oh, you're not that old, but
close. Feel like it.
I'm way past it, Travis, which I guess is good because I'm still here. But there's also a way to criticize the officials, as you know, not the way I do it, but to do it in a way where you get your point across and you keep your job. And I still think there's some people that either haven't learned it or are afraid to or like doing the game. Not everybody, but there are just some, just the way it is. All right, let me throw this at you. Sometimes fans in stands, as everybody knows, can be jerks, and sometimes some of these college kids have just a great sense of humor. And if you take it the right way, you laugh. It's funny. I remember one time, 98, we were down in Florida, and so when you go on the road, and I didn't go to Florida much, but I was there, a few times covering games, and the guys are on the court early, and I knew those guys really well, covering for years, and Paget and Edwards and a couple guys, the guys are shooting early, and there's this I never forget, this heavy set man. Every time I was down there, sat in the same seat, and he would just rip Pitino from the second Pitino until you remember the guy?
Oh yeah, I do. I remember absolutely.
So this guy it wasn't like there was nobody in the stands, but the doors had just opened up, and it was probably 50 people, and a few others were trickling down before the crowd really comes in. And so they're underneath the basket, and I'm kind of standing there, we're chatting, and this guy is really funny. Well, Paget's not going to answer him, but he's also not going to turn to him and show him that he's laughing, that it was pretty funny. I look at Paget, and he says, Cutler, you got to admit he is pretty funny. With that as the backdrop, I don't know if you heard this. So with Charles Bediako, who's playing for Alabama, as you know well. So the Florida kid said, G League dropout, G League dropout. And I laughed. I didn't think that was mean. I thought that was pretty good blank ingenuity. What do you say?
I agree 100%. Obviously, being on as a coach and as a player, I've been a part of that, and people yelling at me and things like that. And I agree with you. I thought it was kind of funny at times. There's lines you can cross. There's no question. But I always found it pretty entertaining when fans or students, whoever, are yelling at the opposing team or yelling at the opposing coach. As long as it doesn't cross a certain line, I think it's great. I think it's part of being a fan. I think that's part of being on the road and things like that. So absolutely. I definitely don't think that crossed the line whatsoever.
I thought it was funny. I didn't cross it. And no, we played a soundbite about 20 minutes before you came on when he shushed the crowd. Yeah. The Arkansas fans got on him, and he said, yeah, that's all part of the fun of it. He had to, do it in the right way. Travis, I'm crossing a line here, so you can tell me to go jump in a lake. Do you remember some of the things that you were yelled at that you can share, or should we go on to the next topic?
Oh, yeah, let's go on to the next topic. That would, and be honest with you, I wouldn't say there's any specific one I remember, but it was always a lot as a player. Some places were hard, it was interesting. Some away arenas and fans were a lot tougher on you than others. As a coach, you seem to get it a lot more, and you hear it a lot more as a coach because you're right there on the sideline. As a player, you're out there playing, and you might catch a few. Maybe you catch some during warm-ups, as you mentioned earlier. That's where you really heard them. As a player, when you're out there playing, you really don't hear much at all. It's amazing. But as a coach, you can hear some pretty rough stuff. That's for sure.
Are there times when you hear it and you're coaching, you want to laugh, but you
Oh
can't?
yeah, I usually laughed at probably 95% of them and thought it was pretty funny, unless they, obviously cross the line. Some of them may upset you a little bit.
So when you cross the line, did you ever have to show a little restraint? Because you know you have to show
Oh,
restraint.
absolutely, 100%. No, no question.
They
No
get
question.
a blank out of here.
Yeah, no question.
Last one on this, and I'm surprised we're going this far, but being extemporaneous. I have always believed, you buy a ticket, you want a boo cheer, that's fine. But things have limits. And I've said this going back before you and I met, seriously, and it's a judgment call. I'm getting away from college basketball. There's in the Washington Bullets, there was a guy who used to sit in like the third row. He had a lot of money. He made sure he was right by the visitors' bench, and he wouldn't stop yelling, screaming, and cursing. And not only that, but he'd be belittling at times the players' mothers and stuff like that. And to me, that ain't cool. And how nobody ever went in the stands and beat him up. Seriously, it's shocking. But my feeling is at a certain point, just because you might have spent $500 for a ticket, not back then, for a basketball game to sit down low, that doesn't give you the right to do it. At a certain point, I think more fans should be thrown out. Am I nuts?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they've crossed the line, and we can sit and debate what is crossing the line, and I think obviously talking about somebody's mom or whatever, so getting very personal is can cross a line for sure. But I think either crossing the line is either by what you say uh, or about how long you are constantly. If it's constant over and over, and you're near a bench, somebody needs to obviously tell that fan or that season ticket holder that it's okay to maybe say something every once in a while, as long as it's that what you say doesn't cross the line. But you can't just be constant. It can't be nonstop. I don't think. I think there has to be conversations made, and I think there needs to be conversations made before you ask someone to leave. Uh, you know, if it's just constant, and they keep doing it after they've been told not to, then yeah, that's a problem.
Oh yeah, I think you should talk to somebody before throwing them out.
Yeah.
Hey, can you sit down? Da 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 da.
Yeah.
As I paid my money, I can do anything I want. That's a red flag, and you're absolutely right. You can get 10 people, and you can get 10 different answers as to what constitutes going too far across the line. There's no question about
Yeah,
it.
I've never agreed just because you buy a ticket doesn't mean that you get to do whatever you want to do. And I've heard people say that. That's just not correct and not very smart. That's like buying a ticket to go see a movie at the movie theater, and you go in there and you're on the phone the whole time. Just because you bought a ticket doesn't mean you're allowed to sit there and bother everyone else, and you're eventually going to be asked to leave.
You agree with me that there's a terrible lack of young officials, whether it's in the SEC, whether it's I can't tell you who's calling the transy games on that level. I'm told there aren't a lot, but I don't know, and I need to make a couple phone calls to check. And year after I retired, I did some high school basketball, and there were very few younger referees. That there isn't a way to develop young referees. A lot of these young people getting paid $50. I get high schools don't have money, that kind of stuff, but they also don't want to spend their Tuesdays and Thursday nights for $50 and take abuse from fans, especially as learning the game. I see this as, and I have for a while, but I think it's getting worse, that there has to be a way, and I have a plan, but I want to get into this right now. I want your thought about developing young officials. And until you develop a bunch of young officials, I think basketball is going to have more and more difficulties, because there are some officials, and I say this with respect, that probably should have moved on, but because of their name and reputation, they continue to get great games when you would hope somebody younger, still with experience, would be moving up. Is that too long a way of putting it?
Well, no, Alan, I think you're bringing up a great point that we could probably spend a whole show talking about this. And I think being a referees are such an important part of all sports. Obviously, basketball, the one we're talking about, they're such an important part of it. I think it's typical of anything, maybe anything in life, any job. There's some really, really good young ones and not so good ones. I've always, it's always talked about what's the answer to making getting the best officials you can and making that a more consistent deal. I've always been a proponent of, as we know now, there are head of officials in each league. Now, some head of officials may be over a couple different leagues. I've always been a proponent that maybe there should be maybe one, two, or maybe three over all officials, not necessarily league by league, but they're over all officials. And I think it would make it a lot more consistent because everybody kind of argues, and I agree a little bit. They argue that this league is referee different than this league. You know, Big Ten used to be more physical, let more physical play go. I think if you had one or two, three, it may take three official top guys who are ahead of all the officials. Uh, I think that I was always kind of a proponent for that to develop, and then everybody's kind of developing the same type, system of refereeing and how they want it done and things like that. I agree. It's tough to get some great officials early because they are refereeing some smaller, much smaller leagues for not the amount of money. But the incentive should be just like any job, is to work your way up because once you do make it as official, it's a pretty good. Though what they're making now and thing is a pretty good, especially salary wise, a pretty good gig.
Yeah, it's a big gig. I'm tight, but let me see if I can do this real quick. Here's been my theory for years. You get a list of all the sports information directors in the country. You spam an email out for all the basketball coaches, men's and women's, whatever. There's a lot of basketball players who love the game that aren't going to the NBAs, everybody knows, and that kind of stuff. And maybe they'd like to make a couple bucks as an official. I'd hold a training camp. Yeah, somebody like, I'm saying this fast. You get somebody like Nike to sponsor it. Kids have to pay their own way to maybe 2-3 places. You try to get the top 50 or so, whatever the hell the number is, pardon my French, and move on. Now you referee high school games, but Nike or somebody has to subsidize these kids and pay them more money. Older officials won't like that. I get that. I get that. I get that. Life isn't fair. And then you have tape of those games, cost money, tape of those games sent to like officials, like you're saying, let them judge it, let them correct them, let them help them grow. You can take a 21-year-old who played the game their whole life and probably make them into a pretty damn good official in a couple of years if they're counseled properly. And then you move them up after subsidizing them to, let's say, play transient games and stuff like that. And it's still, there's got to be a way to subsidizing them while they do their other job. And then all of a sudden, in not 20 years, 5 or 6 years, I'll bet there'll be some kids who'd be really good to go in the Southeastern Conference. 4 or 5 years with proper counsel and your basketball players, you know what to see, you're in shape, you can run up and down the court. I think there's something to this. Some people have said they think it's brilliant. Some people told me I've out of my mind.
No, I think you're going down the right path, and I like I really like what you say about former players and people who have played the game, and that's something that I always saw in young officials a little bit, and even older ones, that you could kind of tell who had been around the game a little bit more and had a better feel for the game. Necessarily, it doesn't mean you had to play the game to be a good referee. Or even a coach. There's a lot of great coaches out there that didn't play. But I think you had to have been around the game a lot to have a feel for the game, because refereeing is, a lot of it obviously is, a feel for what is a foul, what's not a foul. It's not all just black and white exactly. But I think the best referees for me when I was coaching and playing was, the ones that had a good feel and understanding of the game.
Last one. I'll just throw it out this way. I put it this way for the team. I think there's hope this year, and it's possible. The peak wasn't the other day, and it's possible these kids can continue to get better and better. I'm not saying national championship. I'm just saying possible these kids haven't peaked and they can get better.
Well, I said it last time on your show that I think, Mark Park's done a great job in the fact that there's been a lot of adversity thrown at him and that staff as far as injuries, putting team together, all the different things that go in, and you just don't know. I think they fought through a lot of adversity injury-wise, a lot of unknown injury-wise of when either Quaintance or Lowe was going to play, not going to play, different things like that. Now you've got the Cam Williams injury. That always, I tell you, I've been a part of it as a coach. It's always a trying time for a coach when you don't know who's in and who's out game by game. It's tough. it becomes a little bit easier as far as knowing when they're out. But the tough part is, say, as a Jalen Lowe, you knew he was out when he decided to have surgery. So that helps in one way. The other way it doesn't help is obviously you're without a great player. So I think they've done a terrific job. I think they're playing their best basketball at the right time of year right now. Like you said, I don't know what that means going forward and things like that. But I tell you, it's for somebody who understands how tough it is when you're dealing with injuries as a coach on a basically new basketball team. It's not easy. And as we heard in his quote and on earlier in the show, they have won 7 out of their last 8, 6 out of their last 7, whatever it is, in the SEC. Not easy to do. Not easy to do. I don't know what's going to happen going forward, but I think he and Mark Pope and his staff have done an amazing job, terrific job of getting this team through a lot of these injuries.
One, thank you so much. 2, cheers. And by the way, the people can't see it. I'm drinking pure water and sliced up organic cucumber. So, when I say cheers, is Cutler doing a scotch this early in the day? No. Bless you, Travis. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now, it's just a fun conversation. That
Always enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Travis Ford, the great Travis Ford. Jimmy, his logic is impeccably good. It's just impeccably good.
I mean, just the Rolodex of information, the amount of information that's in his head is just wild.
I used the wrong picture and there's nothing wrong with the picture I used to promote today's show. It's a really nice picture with Pope and Travis when he came and did some preseason work here. I should have used, and it just hit me, Travis as like a 3-year-old sitting underneath his father's chair. And Eddie passed away not that long ago, and I'm purposely not saying this to Travis on. I don't want to upset him because his dad was his best friend, and Eddie was terrific with me. But the point is, he's sitting underneath his chair. So his point being is he's been around so much. He was born to coach and born to play basketball, and it's one of the cutest shots you'll ever see. So Travis has been around forever. His knowledge, remember, he's all academic, okay? And he was born to do this. And so he's about as smart as it gets when it comes to basketball. Gene Abel has been waiting. Gene, hang on. But I got to mention Terry Page. Terry Page, not a very good. You heard me say this all the time. A great licensed massage therapist. She is. She should never have an appointment open. She shouldn't. My humble opinion. In Butler, Kentucky, Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday in Lexington. Call her. Please use my name. Many of you have. And I've gotten some really nice feedback from some folks. 859-373-0578. That's 859-373-0578 in Lexington on Regency Road. Terry Page, Alan Cutler with thank you, Travis. Gene Abel coming up next. Doug Barnes after that. Steve Tressler after that. We are smoking today. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler for my friends at Quantrell Cadillac. There's something unmistakable the moment you step into a Cadillac. The soft glow of the dashboard, the quiet power waiting beneath your foot. Every detail is designed to move you before you ever move. On the road, it's smooth, responsive, effortless. Advanced technology surrounds you. Performance responds instantly, and the world outside fades away. This isn't just driving, it's arrival. At Quantrell Cadillac, that experience is closer than you think, with exceptional offers including 2.9 APR for 60 months on select models. Luxury has never felt more attainable. Visit QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for complete terms.
Ooh, baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pub and Shop.
Kappa what?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have assorted Hershey, Reese, Kit Kat, and Payday standard sized candy bars, 2 for $3, and Nature Valley granola bars, 2 for $2.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington, an LM Communications broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
We just think the toughest team wins. Whether that comes down to winning the glass, winning the turnover battle, anything like that. I mean, we believe the toughest team wins. We want to be the toughest team. And about 99% of the time, that's what translates to winning.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Following Travis Ford, longtime outstanding sports editor who knew Travis Ford when he was just a youngster, back in the good old days for the Lexington Herald leader, Gene Abel. Gene, how are you?
Doing great, Alan. How are you doing?
Doing really good. That soundbite from Noah, it seems like it's possible that these guys have gotten it if they're not the most physical team. Odds are they ain't going to win. Even Cal said after the Arkansas game that Kentucky was much more physical. Vandy was much more physical than Kentucky. You think these kids have finally learned an invaluable lesson of playing college basketball in today's world? And it was still true in 78, but you know what I'm saying.
I think these kids have basically, I've said all along, I think a lot of it's been about confidence. I think Chandler said that after the game. And when you're confident, you play harder, you play more decisive. And as what they've done, they've grown together, they've learned each other, they know what they fit together more. You know, it's hard in the portal world anyway. It's harder for them because they didn't even have the same roster they expected. Their roster has changed monthly. I don't think it's coincidence that their string of better games has come when they've at least known who's on the team. And they're playing better. Last week was interesting because last week was sort of the extreme both ways. We saw maybe the worst performance of the year, and then within days later, we saw the best performance of the year. I'm not sure that week to week they're either sort of in between those two, but it's they are playing better. They're playing more consistent. I don't know what that means in the end, as far as I don't see number 9 or anything like that, but they are better. They're dangerous, but I think they're more confident.
You know, is it like the old, I remember as a kid watching it, and I've said to myself, why do they do this when you're was it swimming or whatever the heck it was the first time I saw it? You take the high judge and the low judge and you throw the two out and then you average it in between there. So
you're the big believer, Alan, and I agree with this. Each game is a chapter, and then you take the chapter and you have the book. And right now we're two-thirds of the way through the book, and I think there is especially in Kentucky, but everywhere in this world today, we overreact to each chapter. And I think yes, they probably are in between. I got a kick in Tennessee played. They played Tuesday night last night, and I think after the game, Barnes said. He told his team, if we're not ready to go to compete in Lexington, there's no use going up there and try to fight those guys. Let's just stay home. That now they're suddenly a team that, the other coach is talking about, you better be ready to go fight with those guys.
Well, that's a great comment. And not only that, what a lovely comment to fire your kids up to say, I don't think you're tough enough. Hey, coach, we'll show you.
Yes. But you are tougher and better when you're making shots and when you're confident and when you learn each other. And that has been a very difficult thing for this team, very understandably so, because the roster has changed week to week, or almost week to week. It's changed all the time. And now the roster has been more consistent for a period of time. They're not as good as they could have been with those guys, but at least they know who they are.
I'm going to jump around topics a little bit with you, Gene. And I thought of you this morning when I saw that and I think it's sad. I might be a TV radio guy, but I grew up reading a lot of newspapers as a kid. I would try to get my hand on We got the Newsday at home, but anytime I could get the Post or the Times and the Daily News, not Daily News that often on Long Island, but anytime if I was ever on LIRR, I would buy 3 seriously newspapers. This is before the USA Today, and read it on the whole way. I love reading sports pages. I always have. There's some great writers, and I know you already know this, but the Washington Post has not only lapped off a ton of their staff, they have totally eliminated the sports department, which I don't know if they're going to get something from somewhere else, but that to me has been one of the top 2 or 3 in its heyday sports departments with great writers and columnists in the country. And I got to tell you, you're probably sadder than I am, but I'm sad. I'm really sad. I mean, a part of who I am and what we do and what our culture is just disappearing.
Sad wouldn't say where I'm at on this. I mean, I have a dear friend, one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, Chuck Culpepper, is a columnist at the Washington Post. I don't think that, and I'm not sure yet, but Chuck and I talked or messaged him last week. I'm not sure what's happened today with Chuck. I don't think they're getting rid of the sports department completely. I think they're saying they're redoing it, but they're cleaning it out. To think that people like that are losing their job is just it's horrible. It's sad. It's Jerry Brewer worked for me too. Jerry Brewer, he's not in this. Jerry left and went to the Athletic a couple of months ago, and I don't think this was why. But when you know people, this is impacting. There's nothing worse than going through this, and my heart goes out to all those people, and especially Chuck Culpepper. And I don't know where Chuck has landed yet. I don't know. I haven't heard anything today yet.
Chuck probably would be the first person to get picked up because he has been, and we were lucky that he was in Lexington. You hired him, obviously, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, he were. I hired him. Yes.
He has been one of the great columnists in the last 30 years. And I say columnist, not just sports columnist. He's a great columnist who not all the time writes about sports because he writes about people who happen to be part of sports, but a lot of his columns really aren't sports. It's such a great, touching human nature that he makes you feel. And there aren't a lot of writers, and this is not a disrespect thing, and I'd say the same thing, there aren't a lot of broadcasters that make you feel when they do their job.
And you hear this about people, and I will promise you this is true about Chuck Culpepper. As talented as he is, as good a writer as he is a much better person. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, kindest people I've ever met in my life. I still remember when we had the job open and we were interviewing him. He'd been in California, he'd worked several places. I talked to somebody at the LA Times. I kept talking to people about Chuck. I hadn't met him yet. This was before we brought him, trying to decide who to interview. And people were just going on and on and on. Finally, I said to one of them, I said, this guy can't be as nice as you're telling. Nobody's that nice. And the guy at the LA Times said, he's nicer than I'm telling you. And he was right. Unbelievable guy. And if you go back, when he was here, he tutored and mentored so many people at the Colonel and young kids that he took under his wing. And the kids just loved him. Great guy.
You are right, and I am wrong. I had read something that was incorrect. The sports department is being restructured.
Right.
I've read 2 things now since you started saying that. And the other thing I saw, I had seen 1/3. Now I'm seeing another report which says about 1/3 of its entire staff. So I don't know how it's going to shake out, but there have been so many great writers at that paper.
It's unbelievable.
Wilbaum. I mean, it's just. I was sad that I couldn't get it as a kid. Seriously.
And did you know Jerry Brewer? Jerry was a great guy too.
Yeah, we weren't close, but did we have a number of conversations? Yes. Didn't he leave here and go quickly to Seattle, if I remember right?
Yeah, he interned for us, and his brother did too. And then he worked. Then he had a couple of jobs. I know. Then he worked at the Courier for a long time. He went from the Courier, I think, to Seattle.
Okay.
And I think he went from Seattle to the Post.
Well,
he's a Kentuckian.
You are modest about all the people that you hired who ended up doing great things and were great writers. I think that's a talent in itself.
If I did anything very well, it was hire good people and be smart enough to let them do their job.
See, the last part is interesting because micromanagement would never work with me. Duh. And I was basically left alone, not 100% of the time, but basically left alone. And they leave me alone at LM Communications, and I've thanked Lynn Martin more than once for that because, this is not to do with Lynn, but if you want to micromanage me, I'll just give the mic back. You're at a point in life where you don't need to do this, but I love to do this. So I appreciate that tremendously. But there's too much in television. I'll get away from newspaper of micromanaging. Jimmy, can you do this? Do we still have the Rick Barnes soundbite from the other day? Give me a thumbs up. Gene is the perfect person to respond to that. And if you don't have it, I'll just paraphrase it, but it's not nearly as good as Barnes doing it. You were looking. You got it. Okay. I don't know if you heard this the other day. Tennessee lost. And Barnes, who I have a ton of respect for, I think is a great human being. And this is one comment that I'm sure he regrets saying, and I'm sure he's not accusing anybody, but I'm sure fans, generally speaking, have thought of these kinds of things at times when their team really stinks. Here is Rick Barnes after a game.
I mean, at the end of the game, some of the passes that we throw, I don't know what to say other than sometimes I wonder my guys are betting on games. I shouldn't say that, but that's what erase that. I don't want to say that. But I just wonder what's happening. I mean, because I know we're too good of players to do that. Was that a bad? I apologize. I shouldn't have said that, but the fact is, we've got to get some.
So the point is, do I think he really was accusing his kids of throwing games? I do not. Do I think he regrets saying it? I do. But Gene, I'm guessing you agree with both. But the point is, I wonder how many fans have in their cranium when some ridiculous things happen in a game because of the power of betting with all the online sites. And I'm not saying the online sites go away. I'm not, by the way. But the point is, I wonder how many fans across the country at times think the same thing. And I wonder if there are other coaches that think the same, not a lot, but the same, but wouldn't have the guts or silliness, or I'm not calling Barnes stupid, but this was a stupid thing to say for a coach and that kind of stuff. I wonder how many coaches have thought it, but wouldn't have the guts to slip out and say it.
I don't know about the coaches. I'd be surprised if it's constant in their mind. Fans, it is unquestionably always on there. It's on a whole lot of mind. It stays there, and that's not new. It's amplified and it's on steroids now because it's so easy. But I remember going to my first NFL game, and that was many, many years ago, and I couldn't believe how mad people were. And then somebody told me it's because they have money on the game, and it definitely impacts how fans act. I heard Barnes after I think it was the Kentucky game. I watched his press conference, and he didn't say that, but I think the one guard, it's Gillespie, the guard he's got, who's really good at times, but he has really been bad down the stretch in a lot of games, turning the ball over, and he was more blunt than maybe I hadn't heard him enough after games. I'm pretty sure it was a Kentucky game about his guards. After that game, I was pretty shocked at how he was, and maybe as he's now getting toward what I assume was somewhat near the end of his career, he is that way. But he has been pretty blunt about some of their careless. That's what's cost them a lot of games this year is carelessness down the stretch in some games.
And, I don't look at many of his press conferences. I always look at all of them when he's playing Kentucky. And oftentimes now I will look at a press conference before they play Kentucky for obvious reasons. But he's pretty blunt.
Yes, he is.
He's pretty no filter. I think he's comfortable in his own skin. And I remember what he did when he first got the job. I can't imagine he's doing it now, and I don't know. But when he first got the job, he literally put his desk on the side of the basketball court. And he literally was staying out of the office where his secretary could reach him. But when, his players were coming in to do it, let's say a shoot around by themselves at 10 o'clock or work with a coach and stuff like that, he did it to get to know his players better. And it was kind of like, if my secretary needs me, she knows where to find me and I can do what I need to do. And I actually thought it was brilliant because he wanted to bond with his kids early on. And maybe another coach has done this. I don't know. Pitino does it in his way because he literally conducts the one-on-one workouts. And I think the day happens, if he can't do that anymore, he'll quit. But that's neither here nor there. So Barnes, I think, he's a fascinating guy. And I've always wondered if it was this close for him becoming the Kentucky coach, or was that just to get a contract? I don't think he's that kind of guy, but you don't know what's into somebody's heart.
He's done a really good job his entire career. At times I think there were some people that thought I think he can be pretty intense and blunt, that his teams do tend to wear out a little bit down the stretch. I don't know if that's true. His overall record is probably better than his postseason record. It's still stunning to me, and this isn't just Barnes. Tennessee's never been in a Final Four. That's just, I mean, they've had a pretty good basketball program for a long time, and some years haven't been, and some stretches haven't been great, but they've had a lot of good coaches and good programs. And that's still stunning to me that they've never been once.
Doesn't make any sense. They're more than their share of great players. Gene, anything else about Kentucky in your cranium, or anything in the world of Washington sports before I say thank you and goodbye? And I hope you sound healthy, but you're staying warm.
Warm as could be. I'm ready for. They're saying 50s next week, and 50 sounds really, really good to me right now. No, Kentucky needs to take care of business tonight. That would give them 6 out of 7. And then just try to build on that, and then who knows? I mean, they're playing better. They don't have a bad loss. Do they have a bad loss? I mean, Missouri, is that it? Is that the only game they've lost that they were favored? Maybe Carolina. So, but they've just been really bad in some of the losses, but they're playing better.
Oklahoma has lost a bunch of games close, and I got really good guards. And I can't stand when other people say this, so I can't stand what I'm about to say. I don't want to be a hypocrite. For a team that's 1-8, they're better than 1-8, but they haven't proven it. You are what your record says. But for 35 minutes, they've been in a bunch of games, and I don't think they know how to win, and I don't think they have confidence down the stretch. Yet they have 2 good guards. It's kind of odd that you've got 2 good guards and they're so bad down the stretch of games, and their coach is obviously, unless something shocking happens, going to get fired. And I think he's a good basketball coach. Should have been the DePaul coach, and I've talked about that. Whatever, but to take them lightly because of their record would be stupid by Kentucky. Let me put it that way.
They can't take in. They're not good enough to take anybody lightly.
That's true too. But even still, if Kentucky was like top 10 team in the country, obviously this is a team that can come up and bite you. Not based on the record. They got some good guards. I mean, and he's a good coach, so it is what it is. Gene, thank you. Stay warm. Appreciate you tremendously. Have yourself a blessed day, and hopefully you'll carve out some time next week. I always enjoy it.
Sure, take time. Appreciate it, Alan. Take care. Have a good day. Stay warm.
Gene Abel. Jimmy, if you think about it, he's hired some great people. Seriously. Seriously.
It's almost like the Sean McVay coaching tree, the Gene Abel journalism tree.
Oh, man, you are on fire. I wrote that down. I'm going to use that next time, and I'll give you credit. Not as good as your other one. This was good. Not as good as your other one, which is you should take this is all Jimmy, folks, if you're just joining us. You should take Noah with the shush, blow it up, make it a poster, and put a big poster inside the library when you walk in. It's your idea.
If it's not happening already, it needs to.
Absolutely. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914, 859-533 or acupuncture. Ramon Carriega. By the way, they also now provide a licensed massage therapist. He's a great, smart man who's helped me tremendously. Pain, low back, neck and shoulder, arm, hand pain, foot pain, sciatica, neurology, myopathy, metabolism issues, autoimmune, breach and infertility, parasites, chronic Lyme, low energy, confusion, headaches, dizziness, seizure, and all kinds of other things that he can do to help you out. He's helping me. I'm lucky and blessed to have found him. I'm lucky and blessed to have found Terry. That's just how I feel about this. They keep me going. Check them out. Please use my name on Versailles Road, Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment. Hit the is designed to move you before you ever move. On the road, it's smooth, responsive, effortless. Advanced technology surrounds you. Performance responds instantly, and the world outside fades away. This isn't just driving, it's arrival. At Quantrell Cadillac, that experience is closer than you think, with exceptional offers, including 2.9 APR for 60 months on select models. Luxury has never felt more attainable. Visit QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for complete terms.
Ooh, baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pub and Shop.
Kappa what?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have assorted Hershey, Reese, Kit Kat, and Payday standard sized candy bars, 2 for $3, and Nature Valley granola bars, 2 for $2.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. Listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game. We're talking about practice.
I love that soundbite. And it's very apropos with what's going on here at Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, assistant coach at UK under Eddie Sutton, dear friend, kind enough to join us, Mr. Popalock, Doug Barnes, is joining us. Doug, how are you?
Well, doing great.
Hope it's warmer wherever you are.
It is. In fact, I'm getting ready to play tennis this afternoon. So, or not play, but go out and hit the ball. Which I'm fortunate to be able to do that.
Wait a second. Where you're at, you are going outside to play tennis to hit the ball?
Yeah, but it's not. It's like I think 55 degrees or something like that. But that's if the sun's shining, that's fine and stuff. It's a good temperature.
Jimmy, you know how much I like Doug Barnes. I'm so jealous of him, aren't you? It's 55 degrees there. 55 degrees. What we wouldn't give for 55. Doug, do this. So I know you know what's going on. Pope has changed practice. They're getting a lather up, the start of practice to try to get better starts and stuff like that. And apparently the players have bought into it, and it's helped them out. And they finally figured out that a basketball game is 40 minutes, and they're improving. And hopefully this will continue. But as a coach, when you were head coach, and then when you were assistant coach, was it normal? Or were some of these old school coaches saying, this is how we practice, this is how they do it, and they wouldn't change? Or were there times maybe you as a head coach changed? When you see Kentucky making these changes, just your thoughts. And as a coach, how often did you do it?
Well, first of all, I think it's great that they're looking at what they were doing prior and making changes and stuff. To be honest, I can't really remember. Teams were always, for any coach, I think, are hard to figure out whether they're ready or they're not ready. If I ever came up with that formula, I could make a lot of money and stuff because, I've had teams that I thought, for a big game they were ready and they ended up stinking up the place and stuff too. So I think whatever they did, obviously they had some issues because I mean, it's one thing to do one game or something and not start off well, but they were kind of making a habit of it. So I think it's great that they were able to adjust and hopefully it'll continue to help get started and stuff, because it's always easier to play with the lead than it is from behind. It takes more, in my mind, it takes more energy if you're behind, and it's more pressure and stuff. So what you want to do as a coach is get ahead and stay ahead, and that makes the game supposedly easier for the players to play, supposedly.
There have been times when Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Alan.
Break.
I think you're back on now. I'm not sure what happened, but you should be good now.
Okay, great.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Ooh, baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pup and Shop.
Kappa what?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have assorted Hershey, Reese, Kit Kat, and Payday standard sized candy bars, 2 for $3, and Nature Valley granola bars, 2 for $2.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pup and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
I can hear you.
Wow, you can't hear me. I have no idea what's going on.
I can hear you, Alan.
Oh, you can. We're on the air. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
1300 AM, 92.5 FM. I apologize for that. Doug, can you hear me?
I can. I can now.
Now I don't hear Doug. Did we lose?
Oh, wow.
I have no idea. No, Doug is still here.
Yeah.
Why don't you continue talking to Doug? Can you hear Doug?
Yes.
You talk to Doug, and let me see if there's something on my end. How does that sound?
Hang on. Let me... We'll go back to break. We'll be right back. It's the Alan Cutler Show.
The Alan Cutler Show on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM and on the ESPN Lexington app. Presented by Republic Bank.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler for my friends at Quantrell Cadillac. There's something unmistakable the moment you step into a Cadillac. The soft glow of the dashboard, the quiet power waiting beneath your foot. Every detail is designed to move you before you ever move. On the road, it's smooth, responsive, effortless. Advanced technology surrounds you. Performance responds instantly, and the world outside fades away. This isn't just driving, it's arrival. At Quantrell Cadillac, that experience is closer than you think, with exceptional offers including 2.9 APR for 60 months on select models. Luxury has never felt more attainable. Visit QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for complete terms.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Jimmy, we all good?
We are.
Okay. Let me humbly apologize. Mr. Barnes, I apologize for miscue. It is so lovely to hear your voice. I'd like to blame Jimmy for this, but I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot. Okay. So, one of the things that was said by Chandler that I thought was very good, he's wonderful. He's absolutely wonderful when it comes to, in his own soft, quiet way, being very open about stuff. And he basically said early on in the season, we didn't know how to win. And he basically said, we now have the confidence, and you get it by, which comes first, the chicken or the egg. But he said, now as a team, we have confidence that can win down the stretch. And I've said this, I'm not saying he's the best player on the team, because he's not. And I'm not saying he's one of the best players in the last 10 years, and I'm not. Maybe he'll turn out that way before he leaves. But the point is this, in the last 5 minutes, he's helped win games with passing, stealing a ball. A couple games ago, he's 1 for 9 and hits a 3 from Danville. That was unbelievable. He's an incredibly clutch player, and he has to be in the game. I bet he's in the game all the time in the last 5 minutes, unless it's a huge blowout, hopefully for Kentucky. The point is this, as the season goes on, sometimes as you get immersed in one game, being the chapter in a book, you can overlook the fact that teams just get better and better at times. And I think it's possible. I'm not saying national championship. I'm not saying Final Four. But I'm saying I think it's possible these kids haven't peaked yet.
Well, again, Alan, you got so many new pieces that you're putting together in a season. And so for it to take time is not surprising and stuff. I just can't imagine having a year where you have that many new players coming in and hopefully that will happen stuff because and it may take less time with some people and more time with other teams and stuff. But I think, like I said before, I think the injuries may have helped the Cats because of the rotation. It narrowed the rotation, and I think it's hard to be confident when you're playing with so many different combinations. I think it's hard to kind of get in a groove and knowing what to do. So I think in ways it's helped the Cats. But Alan, I also think this is a game that the Cats have got to really come back ready to play. I know, Oklahoma's got a 1-8 record in the conference, but you start looking at the scores and several of those, at least 3 of those games they should have won, except what happened in the last couple of minutes. And I think my concern is we need to play with the sense of urgency that we did at Arkansas against Oklahoma, because they may be, this is every game's important to them right now, and they may be coming in here trying to seek revenge for last year, and you just worry about the Cats being ready for that challenge.
Give yourself a great plug for Popolock. Doug, I'm sorry for that little technical problem. Stay warm.
No problem.
Good luck hitting the tennis ball outside, but give yourself a great plug for Popolock, please.
Well, just to remind people, if they need a locksmith for any needs for a home, office, and automobile, just give us a call. It's in Lexington, it's 859-983. It's 859-253-6736. And in Louisville, of course, it's 502 and 253 open 6736. So just and be sure and write that number down and don't go online, because you have to be careful getting what we call the scammers, and they can really take advantage of you. So just remember to call Popolock.
Hey, Doug, anything else about Kentucky and this team that's on your mind that we didn't talk about?
Well, I liked the way the team's playing now. Number one, I thought they played better defense, and also I felt like they moved the ball much better. And in moving the ball, that allowed them to get better shots and stuff. And I think that's really important. I think in some games they've really got where all they're doing is dribbling around, and I think moving the ball and moving within the offense has made a difference. So, but the big thing is just playing with the intensity that you got to play to win games in the SEC, and I think they've kind of figured that out now, and I think that will really help.
Doug, thank you. Enjoy hitting the tennis ball around. I'm very jealous, but have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.
Well, thanks, Al. When you get this old, you can get some privileges,
Good for you. Good for you. Thanks, Doug.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Have a great day. So I'm looking at this picture, and I got to tell you, Can you make it so I see Steve's pretty face? Is that possible? Can we do that? So I'm looking at this picture. Now that I see it, now take it off. I'm just kidding. I'm looking at this picture that is promoting College Game Day, the show that Steve co-hosts with Matthew Lawrence, partner of Jimmy. It's like it's all intertwined here. And I got to tell you, Matthew looks much younger, no question about it, with a nice smile. And Tressor looks much younger. I need the art department to do something for me because I need help. There's no doubt about it. But College Game Day tonight, Kentucky versus Oklahoma. And it's at District 7 Social. Let Steve talk about that. Give a plug for tonight, and then we'll talk about Kentucky and your new show. Steve, welcome. Thanks, dude.
Hey, Alan, thanks for having me. I really appreciate this. As far as the art department, there's only so much they can do to make people look younger. Just something to think about.
If they make Matthew look younger, I thought maybe there's a smidgen hope for me, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything for me in my swellage, my fitness. They said that they were trying, but apparently I'm in the fitness protection program, so that there's nothing they could do there. But yeah, Kentucky welcoming in Oklahoma. This is the absolute game Kentucky cannot lose remaining on their regular season schedule. This is a quad 3 game. If they look bad tonight and they lose, it really hurts, especially at the end of the year when you go to the seedings, and they've got to be able to take care of business at home, and especially against a team that's been struggling. They're coming in, I think, with an 8-game losing streak. Oklahoma is, but for Kentucky tonight, it's an opportunity to continue with what they did versus Arkansas. That was a huge win on the road. I think it's the second time in history. Now think about that. The second time in history that Kentucky has beaten two ranked opponents when they were unranked. How about that? So that's huge for Kentucky. That's at District 7 Social, and I always tell people you gotta go to District 7 Social on Manchester Street. Rebecca and Eric have got an amazing place there. She's an architect by trade. But she designed it. It's got a secret room. That's the wine room. They call it the library because you push a bookcase in, and then it opens up to a door, and then you go into this separate bar. It's beautiful. It's quiet. You can't hear the rest of the bar. They've got bowling lanes in the bar, so it's like a giant skee ball is what it is, but there's 6 bowling lanes. They have a golf simulator. So, of course, Matthew and I are hitting golf balls before we start the show. And just a lot of fun. The food is incredible, and you get to pour your own beer there. How about that?
I'm good with that. Give a quick plug for what you're doing next.
Okay, so the Wildcat Drive is my show. It starts this Monday. It's 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on ESPN Radio, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. If you're outside of our listening area, all you have to do is go to WLXG.com, click Listen Live, just like they do for your show, Alan. And that's it, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Drive time, get on there, listen. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be laughing a lot. We're going to talk sports a lot, probably pick on each other. And callers can call in. So they can call in to chirp in on the show and give us their takes on everything.
What about this Kentucky team has surprised you?
Well, the thing that surprised me the most is the inconsistent play. And probably if I go positive, it's been the turnaround. A month ago, everybody had, pretty much left this team for dead, and Coach Pope needed to be fired. And it was really a knee-jerk reaction by the loudest part of the minority in the Big Blue Nation. I think the fact that their team defense has gotten better and better has been impressive. They're still not good with like on-ball pressure consistently and rotating like they should, but with the blocks, the steals, the transition game that has come a long way, they've moved up into, I think, Ken Palm's top 30 for defensive efficiency rating. If they can continue to improve on defense, I quite honestly, I think they've got a really good shot at making a good run in the NCAA tournament if they can continuously improve on defense and they can have consistent scoring. Like Arkansas was our first full game, I think, from tip to finish.
By the way, speaking of blocks, Marino leads the conference in blocks, dunks, and offensive rebound. And one of the things I keep on pushing is a great soundbite from Chandler when he talked about, they didn't know how to win, and they're learning how to win, and now they feel like they know how to win, and that's a confidence thing. And so once you get that, as you know, things change. And on the court in the last 5 minutes, I'm really trying to think back. When is the last time Kentucky has had a player that wasn't the star of the team? Now, if he's here long enough, maybe he will become the star of the team. He's not going to be the star of the team this year, as everybody knows. But when the last time somebody who wasn't the star of the team was the most clutch player on the team, and what he's done with whether it's shots or assists or defense, Chandler has been amazing. And I think these kids are finally starting to believe. And you're supposed to say, well, they should have had it all along. No, you're putting a whole group of kids together, and there's all kinds of dynamics and personalities and those kinds of things. And maybe they're getting it together. And if they are, and it's changed, you got to credit Pope and you got to credit these kids.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think the team is special because it's not just Chandler who's been clutch in moments when we've needed him, right? It's been a string of different players making great plays at the end. So the learning how to win comment, that's spot on. I think they are learning how to win. I think they also are starting to play for each other because you can see it on the court in their body language. They're playing for each other. When Diabate had that nice block where he got teed up the other night, that was help side defense. He was coming down to help cut off the baseline. Got up there, made a beautiful block. I mean, they're playing for each other now. They're starting to get it. I just wonder if, since that was such an emotional win, that I wonder if they're going to have a letdown tonight. Hopefully they don't, because when you have Tennessee coming in to Rupp Arena on Saturday night, and Tennessee has not lost, by the way, since Kentucky beat them at their place. So that's going to be a big game, and you can guarantee that Tennessee, because they played terrible when they played us. They were slow. They weren't into the game, it seemed like. So when they come to Rupp Arena, you can bet they're going to bring everything they have. On the flip side, if Kentucky wins both these games this week, that's going to knock Tennessee out of the rankings, depending on how they do versus Kentucky. And Kentucky will probably be propelled back into the top 25 if they can get 2 more wins, because that's 9 of 10 for them.
Steve, good luck tonight. Mazel tov on your new show. I got some breaking news I want to do really quick. If you can, tell everybody where you and Matthew are tonight.
District 7 Social pregame starts at 7:30 p.m. on Manchester Street. Alan, thank you.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. How about this? This is big news. You want to hear this, Steve? Anthony Davis has just been traded. Anthony is traded to Washington. Wow. So they now have Trae Young when he gets healthy, Anthony Davis when he gets healthy, Alex Sarr's got potential, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, he's got potential, and Bilal, and I can't pronounce his name right, whatever. So they've really changed their team. And so Dallas receives long-term assets, right? And they have flexibility to build around Cooper Flagg. They're saving a ton of money. Dallas is receiving the 2026 Thunder's first-round draft pick, which is almost like a second-round draft pick, and a 2030 protected. I love this stuff. Protected Warriors first-round pick, which means depending upon how the Warriors do, will depend upon whether they get the draft pick or not. It's nuts, but that's what it is. As from the Wizards, along with second-rounders from Phoenix, Chicago, and Houston in 2026, 2027, and 2029. It's amazing how all these draft choices get traded when it's from trades from different teams and you own it. Depends where the teams are. So Anthony Davis traded. It's been rumored like crazy, and it's pretty simple. I hope he can get healthy, and I actually think it makes sense for both teams. The only problem that doesn't make sense, and I wish Anthony Davis a ton of health, but if he's healthy, he's absolutely worth the money. And if he's not healthy, he has a long contract, and the Wizards must be convinced that he can be healthy. I wish him happy health. I mean, he was a sure first ballot Hall of Famer had he been healthy. And I think he's still going to get, I absolutely think he's still going to get in the Hall of Fame, but he's been healthy so much. Some people call him brittle. I can't argue with that. but if you can get Happy Health, it would be a beautiful thing. This is the deadline. There's all kinds of trades. The last thing, we haven't even talked about it, but James Harden was traded to Cleveland for Garland, who's 26, and he's young, and he's really, really good. Jimmy, do we have time to play that one soundbite, that rant, or is it too late?
I think it's too late. We've only got about 45 seconds.
There's a Dallas sportscaster, we will play it tomorrow, who did a rant on Harden that is so good. It's incredible that Harden might be great, but he's one of the most selfish athletes of all time. I said it slow on purpose, and you're nodding your head, Jimmy. You agree?
What's crazy is that clip is from 2023, but it's just as apropos as if he did it yesterday.
Yes,
and it still holds.
You know, what's crazy, when I heard it, I'm going, who's this guy? Did he just do it? And I did some research, and they said, well, you know, he took a lot of crap when it came out, but now people buy it. It's unbelievable the things that he got away with, and I'm shocked. Cleveland is they're basically saying, we're only in now. It's going to shake up our future. Our future might not be the same, but we don't care. We are going for it. A fun day. Thank you so much for listening. Oklahoma will go down tonight. And I think Kentucky will respect the fact that Oklahoma's got some damn good guards, and that Oklahoma, the record stinks, but they are good enough to beat Kentucky. Or as Doug Barnes says, Kentucky shouldn't take anybody lightly, and I hope they don't. Good luck. Don't forget about Matthew and Steve Tressel tonight at the District 7 Social. They are live with the pregame show and Steve's new show Monday, 4 to 6. It starts Monday through Friday, so check it out. Jimmy, thank you so much. I apologize for that little problem. That was on me. Have yourself